The following is a presentation of Learfield IMG College.
This is Duck Insider.
Give it to Verdell. He's got the first down and go! Duck fans start celebrating. Oregon is the 2019 Pac-12 champion. The 2020 Rose Bowl champion.
Richardson, another open three. Good! Duarte dribbles and slams with the right hand. For the third time in the last 5 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions. Outright champ.
Moseley three. Good! Moseley ball. Down Shelley. Three ball. Good! Regular season champions and now Pac-12 tournament champions.
Welcome to Duck Insider.
We're just getting started.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
A good Thursday to everybody joining us, wherever you're tuning in on Facebook, YouTube, maybe on Twitter. You're joining us on one of our Oregon Sports Network affiliate stations. Tune in the GoDucks app, goducks.com/live audio. So many different ways to tune in. Maybe you're on the podcast on your podcast service of choice. My thanks for being with us inside the Country Financial Studio. It's Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. On today's show, we have one Robert Moseley. He's the editor-in-chief of GoDucks.com, the first time that we'll talk to Rob. Did a great job hosting the happy hours. I really enjoyed tuning in for those. Scott Labounty, a tip of the cap to the assistant athletic director for video services as well. Scott and Rob had a lot of fun, and I know there's a lot of work that goes into putting those on, and I thought they were a great time. We also have a lot to talk about from a few different sports today, particularly football, because we've got a coaches poll that came out today. Yeah, we're going to break that down, take some of your Facebook comments and questions, and I don't know what the heck's going on with the new Facebook revamp, redesign, if you will. I have to refresh every single time I want to see the up-to-date comments. I don't know when this started, why this happened. So far I've only got a Go Ducks, a Go Ducks, and a Sco Ducks, which are great comments. Very well done to start the show. But if I take a little longer than I used to get to some of your Facebook comments and questions, my bad. I wish that I had a better way to do this, but unfortunately I don't. But we'll get there. Yeah, we'll get there. The Duck had a little fun on Twitter last night. We're going to talk about Hayward Field, the new weight room for Oregon women's basketball. Some news on that. Also, the more details on what the guidelines will be for hosting an NCAA championship if they're able to move forward at the Division I level. Remember yesterday, Division III and Division II fall championships were all canceled, and the NCAA outlined all the different eligibility items that are key, really, because at the end of the day, this is all about the student-athlete. So if a student-athlete opts out because of health concerns, they're going to maintain eligibility, maintain the scholarship, just like they should. I think that we can all agree that that's an important piece to all this. We're going to talk about that. Also, some Products news. If you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour, this is cool. We're actually watching golf here in the studio right now. If you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour at 2:04 today, Wyndham Clark, Pro Duck, will tee off in the PGA Championship. This is his major championship debut. What a great time to do it in the PGA Championship. So we're actually watching right now. As you can imagine, there's cameras on Tiger Woods just constantly, which, I understand. I was watching ESPN yesterday, and they were talking about, does Tiger finish inside the top 10 or outside the top 10? And I don't know. I got no idea if he finishes inside the top 10 or outside the top 10, but we'll find out. Also today, I promised that we would get to this at some point this week. We were discussing what we did and if anybody had any great projects that they did during this changed lifestyle with quarantine and everything. You know how Scott spent – how long did it take you, Scott? You must have taken you at least a day to put together your soon-to-be famous music video.
Well, I recorded the song in about an hour and then – trying to convince my kids and my wife to be in the video. That took a little longer.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So we're going to play that for you. This was Scott's quarantine project. He actually has a deliverable that is fun. All I did in quarantine was renovate my house, which it still could fall down. I really don't know. I mean, I'd like to think that it won't, but
that's not the only thing you did, though.
Well, that's true. I mean, I did get a dog. This was the big news. I know a couple of you had reached out because you heard me talking with our friend Steve Tan at 95 Through the Score about this here in Eugene. He's a big dog guy, and I got a dog. My wife and I adopted a puppy. We're going to talk about that. That's obviously big news, so I'm joining the puppy team, if you will. All right, let's go through that coaches poll. And first, just to clarify, I thought that yesterday we went through so many details of what the NCAA said and what things were looking like that I want to get into a little bit more of the details on just some of the guidelines that the NCAA laid forward. So per the NCAA, the guidelines for holding a national championship game or tournament are as follows. Any fall championship or other postseason contest must be conducted within enhanced safety protocols for student athletes and essential athletics personnel. These safety enhancements will include regular testing, separation of college athletes and essential personnel from all other non-essential personnel, and physical distancing and masking policies during all aspects of non-competition. In other words, follow the safety guidelines that have been outlined by many health experts and local authorities. So the NCAA, those are the guidelines now for really this is particular to, and this is specific, I should say, to championships that the NCAA hosts. But I think we can all agree that this is really what it's going to look like for every sporting event. I think I don't even know how long. I don't even want to put a timetable on that. The NCAA championships may use reduced bracketing as well, a reduced number of competitors, predetermined sites, and, where appropriate, single sites to limit exposure to COVID-19. I think that could potentially be the biggest takeaway here, is that for fall championships, they may look very different, and maybe this will be the only year that they look like that in terms of how the postseason tournaments could work. It's going to be interesting. And then another key point, if 50% or more of eligible teams in a particular sport in a division cancel their fall season, there will be no fall NCAA championships in that sport in that division. In other words, if each individual school makes the call, and based on local, it's all different, right? It's all different in every community. Then that could lead to no championship, which makes sense. If you're not competing against anybody, how can you have a championship? If fall sport championships are postponed in any division, a decision to conduct that championship at a later date will be based upon the scientific data available at that time regarding COVID-19, along with other considerations, I should say. And all member schools must adhere to federal, state, and local guidelines related to COVID-19. Further, the conduct of NCAA championships must be in line with federal, state, and local guidelines. All right, that was a lot of information. Those were the highlights of what the NCAA said for having a championship season and what some of the details could look like, right, if there are cancellations and things of that nature. I just thought it was important that we kind of run through that on the show to give everybody an idea. And look, as I read through this yesterday, I think many of you probably who read it, or maybe if you listen to me say all that right now, that just all makes sense with the current landscape. I don't think there's any surprises there at all. Meanwhile, we have a coaches poll today. And the highest ranked in the Pac-12 in the coaches poll, that would be the Ducks. Number 9 in the preseason USA Today Sports coaches poll. There are 3 Pac-12 teams in the coaches poll this season. And I was really surprised, actually, not necessarily that USC was at 17 or Utah was at 20. I was really surprised that there was no love for the Cal Golden Bears. They received 5 votes. And somehow, Washington State received 1 more vote in the poll than Cal. That surprised me. I think that Cal's going to be a good football team. Another good defense. Arizona State was essentially ranked number 28, if you will. They were the 3rd most receiving votes school behind Tennessee and Boise State, who were just outside of the top 25. So again, Oregon coming in at number 9, the only Pac-12 team in the top 10 and the highest ranked Pac-12 team in the coaches poll released today. Clemson was number 1, Ohio State number 2, Alabama number 3, Georgia number 4, and LSU number 5. Oklahoma number 6, Penn State 7, Florida 8, the Ducks at 9, and Notre Dame at 10. Notre Dame, who could actually win an ACC championship this year. Remember, they made that scheduling arrangement where they were going to play a number of ACC schools every year. I think it was 4 or 5 games every year. Now the decision is that they can play the full slate, and as an independent, it makes sense that they're going to have that full slate. kind of interesting that you might see Notre Dame win a conference championship, and it'd be crazy. Coming up, I see Rob Moseley's here. Well, kind of. He's way over on our screen over here. And Rob, you look great. I don't think I've ever seen you look better, buddy. Just well done on joining the call, and I just can't wait to show you what I'm having for my beverage in your honor, buddy.
Well, I had to drink a competing brand with my lunch today because I haven't been able to pick something from your stash. So maybe you need to send something over.
Okay. We're going to have to take care of one Robert Moseley. Hey, Rob, real quick before we jump into a few things and get a quick timeout, for whatever reason, I have it stuck in my head that your name, I just want to say Robert J. Moseley for whatever reason. It just sounds so official. What's your middle name?
My middle name's John.
I was right. Oh, this is great. So it actually is Robert J. Moseley.
Yeah.
So I'm not
It was
crazy.
just a good guess, and it sounded good.
I thought I was crazy. I really did.
But the real mind bender that I just found out yesterday is my uncle did Ancestry.com.
Oh, okay.
And my Moseley was actually my grandfather's stepfather's name. His father's name we just found out is Weir. So my last name should be Weir. And the real crazy thing about that is I've always enjoyed the fact that I share a birthday with Bob Weir from the Grateful Dead, October 16th.
Weird.
And it turns out my name should be Bob Weir.
Wow.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
So this is where you get your love of music, is you're actually related to one of the greats.
I'm pretty much in the Grateful Dead.
Okay.
I think we can Photoshop that.
This is great. Well, I didn't think that the interview was going to take that left turn that quickly with Rob, but so that's great. So now I can officially introduce you as Robert J. Moseley every time, but really in the back of my mind,
Weir.
I'm going to say Bob Weir joining us
right
on Duck Insider. Okay. All right, we got to get a quick timeout. Rob, we're going to talk about the coaches poll. We're going to talk about what you've been up to, all the happy hours from the past season. So stick with us. You never looked better sitting here on our TV rather than actually in person. You look a lot cleaner shaven, I think, in person. And I see that you found a clean T-shirt, so that's good.
I did. It's my Satu Sabali jersey.
Well done. All right. We got Robert Moseley, Robert J. Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com with us. Duck Insider continues more after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Your daily dose of Oregon athletics. This is Duck Insider from Learfield IMG College.
Most of my family, they never graduated high school, so I'm trying to break that barrier. My daughter Brooklyn was also a motivation for me to go back to school. Every day after work, went straight to school, and it paid off.
At age 26, Kareem finished his high school diploma.
I could not have done it alone. I see the future is really bright for me.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
We're back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. I'm Joey Mack with you inside the Country Financial Studio. Normally, Rob Moseley would be joining us, sitting in the very expensive, comfy chair to our left. Instead, he's on this nice TV monitor sitting next to Richard. Not a comfy chair. Your face made me think not a comfy chair, Rob.
I think you said very expensive.
Yeah, that's relative.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, what's the most expensive chair that's in your house?
Well, we have a pretty actually snazzy, like electric Barca lounger type thingy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. I stand corrected then. Is it as good as the one that Tyrell Crosby gave to the equipment room?
I haven't seen that one. It doesn't have any like massage features.
Oh, that's the one that Tyrell Crosby gifted to the equipment room when he got his big contract. It was actually pretty cool. All right, Rob, we talked about the coaches show, or excuse me, I should say, well, hopefully we have coaches shows here coming soon. The coaches poll, I should say. Ducks in at number 9, highest ranked Pac-12 team. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, not surprising. I mean, I think pretty universally we're seeing a lot of I think respect for the confidence that the program has expressed in Tyler Shuck. To lose a quarterback like Justin Herbert with all he did, and for the expectation to be that things are not going to skip a beat. Obviously, a lot of that has to do with the skill position players returning and the quality of the defense that's back. But the quarterback is just, so important to any football team at any level. And to feel like Tyler Shuck can get plugged back in there, or Anthony Brown, depending on how the competition goes. And the rest of the program is built to kind of not skip a beat. I think, it's impressive, but it seems to be pretty universal that that's the expectation. So that's cool.
I think it's interesting, too. You look at the top 25 polls, and the preseason ones really don't mean anything, as we've talked about over the years. I think everybody mentions that over the years. 3 Pac-12 teams in the top 25. Did that surprise you at all, Rob? You feel like that's about right?
Oh, gosh. It didn't shock me. No. Nothing would shock me right now, Joey. It's so hard to get your head wrapped around like what normal conditions are like. Like, so to compare this year over year to any other year is like, it could have been all 12 Pac-12 teams. It could have been Arizona number 1. And I'd probably been like, hey, whatever, man.
2020.
Yep.
That's gonna
exactly.
I feel like there's going to be so many bumper stickers or just whatever that's just like, oh, must be 2020. Yeah, you're right about that, though, Rob. In all seriousness, so you, family, everybody healthy, gotten through this as best you can in this new normal?
Yeah, knock on wood. I went down to California a couple weeks ago to see my family. Kept the circle really tight when I was down there, but saw my mom and stepdad and saw my brother and his kids. And then my mom made the trip back up here. My brother made the trip back up here in the last week or so. So that's been fun. Again, kept the circle tight, but, nice to see some people. And, now I'll try to, hopefully fall camp's going to start here. Preseason camp's going to start here in the next 2-3 weeks. So try to lay low and not risk any sort of exposure in the next couple of weeks. In hopes of actually being able to be around a practice here coming up sometime in the next few weeks.
No, it makes sense. I'm feeling the same way you are. Hopefully coming up on in 11 days potentially is when things could start back up. Remember, on the 17th is what the Pac-12 has decided for when camp could get rolling. That's important. Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com, joining us. Rob, since we last talked, the new look Pac-12 schedule is out, starting now with Colorado. We all hope if everything goes according to plan, and everybody, of course, wearing their mask can help with that. On the 26th of September against Colorado at Autzen Stadium. Not sure what exactly it's going to look like yet, but we can at least start breaking down a Pac-12 schedule for the Ducks.
Yeah, and, I think the big takeaway for me was just how much flexibility the conference built in, sort of acknowledging that games can be moved around to bye weeks or to that open date at the end of the schedule. And just, it seems – I think the conference has been pretty forward thinking. Yeah. I mean, I think you have to hand that to the conference office the last few months that, these are crazy times, and the way the conference office has helped, navigate that has been pretty good. And so I've appreciated that, and the need for flexibility while also having, as you point out, just something to kind of build around and some sort of a framework, it was appreciated. And we're all just going to have to be flexible. People are worried about who has this many home games, home matchups this year versus next year, and who has this many home games, next year, whenever. If we're arguing minutia like that, we're doing better than a lot of other folks are doing. So, I think we accept the fact that this year is definitely going to look really weird, that maybe there's going to be some repercussions in the next couple of years that are felt, some reverberations from this. But if we're otherwise back to normal in 2021, 2022 and beyond, that's awesome, and we have some semblance of a season this year. I'll take it.
I think if you told me in March to make that trade, I would have made that trade.
Yeah.
You told me that in April, May, June. Now July, August. I think everybody would agree to make that trade. I'm with you 100%. Now, okay, so let's start talking about, chewing on it a little bit. What do you make of the schedule? How does it stack up for the Ducks? I'm sure that you've kind of started like me to start looking at, okay, 1 win, 2, 3. What do you think, Rob?
I think you feel good about Oregon's chances going into every single game. But, you start to see some probability rankings of, Oregon's likely to win every game. The odds, the chances, the difficulty of going undefeated, that's nothing to sniff at. So anybody just saying, oh, this is a 10-0 schedule. Sure. If every game is viewed in a vacuum, maybe that's the case. But, doing that is so hard, particularly as you get late in a season. And you've got, we just saw it last year, that Arizona State game, just how hard it is to sustain that level week after week after week after week after week. You're going to have a hiccup. And if you go up against a good team, particularly on the road, you can get bit. So, there's definitely some pitfalls, particularly some road games late in the year that you look at and say, hey, if this team's flying high, that's one that suddenly, whether you want to call it a trap game or whatever, it's just really hard to do. But is it the type of schedule that, Oregon can win the league? For sure. No doubt about it. Yeah. If kind of everybody develops how we think they should, and, the defense takes another step and Coach Moorhead's offense is able to really click in preseason camp and make up for lost time from the spring. No doubt about it.
Yeah, I think that it all starts really for me that the key stretch is after that scheduled bye week. You got Washington. That's always a big game at home. Then you got to go on the road to Cal. I think that's a tough matchup, Rob. I think that's really going to be a game where we probably learn a lot about this team. USC at home. USC is always tough. And then what is it with going to Arizona in November? Either Arizona, anywhere in that state in November, let's maybe exercise a few demons for Duck fans, I think, on the 20th. Don't you think, Rob?
It's bad things, man. Bad things happen.
Bad things. That's right. And then how about you ready to bust out the parka for December 5th in Salt Lake City?
I got to tell you, I love your optimism, man. Talking about this like it's all going to go according to plan.
That's what I'm trying to do.
Yeah. Woo. That'd be phenomenal. Bring it all on. None of that sounds bad. All of that sounds great.
That's right. See, I think I'm to the point. Many people have probably figured this out by now with me that I'm to the point with all this going on, especially after we didn't have a show for 5 months. I'm just gonna will this with positivity into existence.
Love it.
And anybody that knows me, Rob, you can speak to this. Scotty's here in the studio. I am not an optimistic person. Not at all. So if I'm feeling this way, then hopefully something good happens. That's really the way that I'm approaching this. So we'll see what happens.
You're just going to flip karma on its head. Karma's going to be like, wait, Joey's positive? Well, all right.
See? That's right. We can totally make this work. Rob Moseley joining us, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. Rob, one of the things, though, that with football, I guess, on the back burner a little bit right now, getting ready for the season, that's actually given me a chance on the show to have a little bit more fun with some products. We were hoping to talk to Satu Sabali yesterday. Didn't work out, but might be talking to Ryan Healy here soon. We talked to Cole Irvin earlier this week. It's been fun for me to talk about some of the products, and I think it's so cool that we are seeing so much success for the products right now. MLB, WNBA, NBA, NFL is going to get going. Wyndham Clark today in the PGA Championship. That's kind of been a fun thing, at least for me, to keep track of all these products.
Well, I wore my Satu Sabali jersey in part so that she could at least make a appearance on your show this week. Yeah.
Thank you.
We tried to get her on the watch party we had with women's basketball a couple weeks ago, and there were some connection issues with that too. So she's proving elusive. The unicorn is an elusive target. That's right. For sure. No, but it's a couple things I always wish I had more time to devote to, but just haven't the past few years because there's so much else going on. One has been graduation. So the fact that we were able to just shine a huge spotlight on graduation and really celebrate all our graduates back in June was really fulfilling.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the fans appreciated it. And so now I think we're gonna have to find a way to do that in future years. Even though baseball might still be playing, softball might have just wrapped up, tracks, right in the thick of track. We're gonna have to do that because I think people really appreciated that and it's merited. But then just particularly baseball and women's basketball, just having a different presence in the professional level than they have in years past. It's been real cool. Just great for those programs, obviously, and great exposure. To watch a Mets broadcast where Petey's been pitching and all, talking about Oregon, and then particularly the broadcast where Heineman was playing against his brother.
Yep.
But I watched a Rockies game after that, and the Rockies broadcast mentioned, I think the Rockies were playing the Giants, and they showed Scott Heineman during a Rockies Giants game. And that's a Duck. So, to see those guys getting that kind of attention definitely is really, really cool.
Well, I thought it was cool, too, about that, talking with Cole Irvin. I mean, I know Kyle Garlick got optioned again, but Cole Irvin got to be shagging balls with Kyle Garlick out, in practice. I thought that was so cool. I mean, you and I have both had the opportunity now over the last few years when traveling with the Ducks. We've tried to line it up with some different viewings of pro Ducks along the way. Scott Heineman, one of them, Kyle Garlick, one of them. I mean, to me, Rob, that's just so cool for baseball. And I said this yesterday. I have kind of a special place in my heart for those guys because that was the first sport that I really worked with really in depth here at Oregon. And just seeing the growth of that program, I just think it's been so awesome. And it's only going to get better moving forward. You're going to see more and more pro Ducks in the majors, I think.
I mean, just a huge recruiting tool to just say, hey, we develop guys who make it to that level and hopefully thrive at that level. You see Heineman, the shot he's getting, he's playing quite a bit the last week or so. And, Petey, earning multiple starts with the Mets. The Rangers team is not expected to be a great contender. And the Mets have had some injuries in their rotation. So, there's reasons opportunities get created sometimes, but those guys don't have control over that. All they have control over is just how they take advantage of them. Heine's power, the way he provides some slugging for that lineup is a difference maker for them. And when you have a filthy lefty like Petey looked, at times his first couple starts, I mean, that plays anywhere, regardless of what level your team's competing at. So hopefully those guys can stick it out.
Yeah, I think that's great. Rob Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com, wrote a great piece talking about David Peterson. Talked to him a little bit. Encourage you to check it out if you missed it on GoDucks.com. How about MLB The Show? Rob, I understand that you bought a PlayStation during quarantine. How's that been going for you?
Yeah, it's not my proudest moment, but
why?
I've been playing a lot.
Oh, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You're saying it like it's a bad thing. I know you, Rob. You're still working out, walking the dog. You're fine.
I'm 43 years old, Joseph.
That's fine.
I don't need to be playing PlayStation as much as I have been.
Why? I was trying to say something nice and be like, Rob, you could get Cole Irvin on your team, you get Petey on your team, you get Heineman on your team, and you can have some fun with this, Rob. You're fine. Doesn't matter how old you are. You're a young kid at heart.
That's true, and I appreciate it. I appreciate the pep talk. Maybe that's just what I need.
I tried. I'm trying to have all this positivity, and normally Rob just bounces right back. And Rob, I feel like we need to pep you up a little bit, buddy. I mean, there's going to be football, Rob. There's going to be fall camp. It's going to be great.
Hey, the pandemic quarantine's been a roller coaster, man.
No doubt about that.
It definitely has. You have highs and you have some lows and you have a lot of in betweens.
Yeah. That's for sure. All right, Rob. Well, I'm going to save a few of our topics for next time we catch up. Talk a little bit more football in depth. Appreciate you taking the time, buddy. I hope to see you back in the office here soon. All right. It's a little weird when Scott and I get here and there's no one else here.
No, I hear you.
So I'm looking forward to the day when things are, a little bit more bustling here in the Casanova Center.
Cheers to that. That's for sure.
Yeah. Rob Moseley, Robert J. Moseley, editor-in-chief, GoDucks.com. Thanks for the time, buddy. We'll catch up with you again soon.
Take it easy.
All right. We talked about a lot there. Take some of your Facebook comments and questions here in just a little while. And I will be sure to enjoy a little bit more of the diet dew, if you will, for Rob. That was the running joke with Rob was always that he'd come in, and whenever he'd be on the show, he'd get a little bit pepped up so that he would have his caffeination, if you will, before we got going on the show. And I feel like he needed that caffeination today. Tried to give him a little virtual caffeination, but, I tried. Didn't work. Just didn't work. Worked for me, though. I'm ready to roll. So, more of your Facebook comments and questions coming up. We're a little bit tardy, as they say. I do want to have a little bit of fun with the duck, and also talk a little bit about Bull Bull. I think that's going to be a fun thing to watch over the next few days, actually. I'm going to tell you why. I'm Joey Mack inside the Country Financial Studio. More Duck Insider coming up, presented by On Point Community Credit Union after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Mountain Dew Zero Sugar presents an original that's now maybe even better. Humpty Dumpty.
Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a delicious Mountain Dew Zero Sugar with the same refreshing taste as the original, but with zero sugar. And all the king's horses, all the king's men couldn't get Humpty to try a different zero sugar soda again.
Mountain Dew Zero Sugar. As good as the original, maybe even better.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
You're listening to Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart savings strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org, because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
GTG, BRB, OMW, be there in a few. You may think that these kinds of texts are fine because of their length, and you can easily send them at a stoplight. But no, answering one text can take your attention away from the road for 5 seconds. And traveling at 55 miles an hour, that's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Make good decisions. Don't text and drive.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union, live from the Country Financial Studio. So, Robert J. Moseley, I seriously, I did not know his middle name. That is a true story. I did not know his middle name, but it just sounded good to introduce him as Robert J.
That's a good call. That's instinct right there.
Or it's, he told me at some point and I remembered it. Yeah, that could be as well. Alex, good to have you back with us. Number 9, he says the defense stacked pass rush is going to be big. I think that's probably true. Joshua, who is going to be the first to open a credit card in Robert J. Moseley's name? That's actually pretty funny. Please don't do that, but that's actually really funny. Oh, that's great. That's funny. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate it. I'm doing my best to keep up with all of the comments on Facebook and YouTube and via the Twitter sphere as well. And look, Rob said it, and I do want to touch on this a little bit, that I'm sitting here talking about like all this is going to happen. Well, we're all hoping it's going to happen, right? I mean, if everything goes according to plan, there's going to be 10 football games this year for the Ducks. They're going to go 10-0, and we're all going to feel really great about that. What it looks like, we still don't know. I will tell you that maybe tomorrow we'll have a little bit more clarity because Rob Mullins is going to join us on the show. The Oregon Athletic Director will be with us to start tomorrow's show, and our Athletic Director interview brought to you by Pepsi and Bigfoot Beverages. We're going to do that first thing tomorrow. So Rob will be with us via Zoom, just like we've been doing all of our interviews. Scott and I are pretty much the only ones here, and it's still really weird. I mean, I know I keep bringing that up, and we're kind of laughing about it. And here's the thing, everybody. Like, I don't mean to downplay what's going on in the world, but I do think that sports is supposed to be an escape. I felt it when I wasn't doing the show and there weren't any sports to watch. I certainly felt it over the last few months. So we're trying to have that escape on the show, and I hope that everybody appreciates it. But obviously we will get into some more serious topics, and I think we'll do that more tomorrow. But we chuckle about being the only ones in the cast, but, I mean, I can tell you that it sucks. Just being honest, it stinks. The best part of this job is just walking around the hallway and talking to all the different coaches and student athletes and the staff that work here. Unfortunately, I just have to talk to Scott.
Unfortunately, you said.
Unfortunately. It's okay. It's fine. I mean,
it's okay.
We understand. Also, just to brighten up your day a little bit, I don't know if you guys saw this, and if you didn't, you need to head to @TheOregonDuck on Twitter. So one of the funniest things about Oregon is the duck, right? Like, hands down, the best mascot in the country, the most recognizable. The Sports Illustrated cover that he tweeted out yesterday, an unusually strong duck goose. And then inside on page 34, by the way, more on Harry the Husky not hearing back upon entering the transfer portal.
Oh, that's great.
So that was the Sports Illustrated cover. Then the duck also was on the cover of Boating Annual Boating Safety Issue, the Boating magazine. Duck said, "Get home safe, lessons from the duck boat tragedy." Do you guys remember when he surfed up the student section on a raft?
So good.
And, of course, on page 27, newest rafts now with no pop guarantee. So that's Boating magazine. And then Build-A-Bear Workshop now introducing Teddy Duck. I got to tell you, that was one of the oddest things I have ever seen when the duck was dressed up as a teddy bear, half duck, half bear, an unstoppable force, according to the cover of Build-A-Bear Workshop magazine. Yeah, when I saw the duck's face, just his face, poking through where the teddy bear was supposed to be, I don't know if disturbed is the right word, but it was odd, to say the least.
Odd is a good way to put it.
Yeah, the duck is an odd individual. I don't have another way to describe him, but I thought that was fun last night on social media. So to the duck, well done. Also of note, we talk so much about all the different sports and the amazing facilities here at Oregon. Well, the latest, of course, is Hayward Field. If you haven't driven by and seen Hayward Field, or at least watched the great video that Go Ducks put out on social media a month or so ago, Hayward Field just looks outstanding. So the Oregon Duck ticket office went to the new Hayward Field, tried to find a bad seat. And they said, well, the bad news is they couldn't really find one. Well, I mean, this place is just beautiful. Hayward Field, I'm so sad. This is one of the things from the pandemic is that we're not going to be able to enjoy Hayward Field the way that it was meant to be enjoyed this summer. It's a beautiful, beautiful venue and just so well done. And there's so much history on that site. And I know that the grandstand is going to be missed. There's no doubt about that. I mean, it's iconic, right? That grandstand is iconic for track and field and for Tracktown. But I think that this new Hayward Field is the next evolution of the tradition of Tracktown USA. Encourage you, if you haven't checked it out in person, definitely worth doing because your jaw is going to drop a little bit. It's pretty mind-blowing. And here's to hoping that our friends in the ticket office are going to be putting out many more of those tweets about tickets because people are going to be able to buy tickets for events there. Coming up, a new weight room for Oregon women's basketball to tell you about. Also, our Oregon Imaging Center's Inside Look, taking a look at the new look college football schedule. Some new updates today from a few other conferences that we didn't talk about yesterday. And also, we're going to make Scott Phillips' kids internet famous. We're back after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a Country Financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local country representative.
Welcome back for another episode of ASMR with Alex. Today, we're exploring the delicious, refreshing sounds of Pepsi. Oh, spilled a little there, but don't worry, it's all under control. Now for the best part. Pepsi. That's what I like. Nailed it. My subscriber is gonna love this one.
Locally owned Bigfoot Beverages is proud to support the Oregon Ducks. Go Ducks. Drink Pepsi.
This is the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see? Every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hello, it's me, the designer jeans in the back of your closet. What happened to us? I used to summer in the Hamptons, and now I'm stuck behind a pair of sweats. Okay, maybe I never really fit you right, but I got a lot more Sunday fun days left in me. So take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff. Create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here inside the Country Financial Studio. Today's show brought to you by North Fork Public House. Open for dine-in and takeout, northforkeugene.com. Jerry and Georgie still owe me a North Fork dinner. Going to keep bringing it up every single chance that I get. So one of the things we talk about with facilities, many of you have probably seen the Matthew Knight Arena construction project. Still working on the offices that will house the coaches for men's, women's basketball, volleyball. And it's going to be right near what used to be the staff entrance on Villard Street across from Wild Duck. You'll see it. If you haven't, you'll still see some of the construction going on. Well, as a result, there's been some, I guess, updating to the rest of Matthew Knight Arena. Kelly Graves tweeted today the women's basketball team with their masks on working out in that newly retrofit, or new retrofit. That was a terrible sentence. Newly retrofitted. Did that even make sense? Newly retrofitted weight room. Ducks, again, wearing masks, doing the social distancing the right way. And I think this is a great example of really the adaptability of the student athletes, not just at Oregon, but really everywhere, and the way that they've gone about their business in a pandemic. There's really no way to prepare for something like this. And I think the Ducks have done a great job. Kelly Graves, you can follow him on Twitter at GoDucksKG. One piece of important news from yesterday, Oregon high school football moving things to the spring. The OSAA announced that yesterday afternoon. Follows suit with other states. So for the high school football season, I think things are going to look a little bit different. And you might see some changes, I guess, to rosters as a result. We'll find out as the season moves forward. Time for your Oregon Imaging Center's Inside Look. So yesterday I talked about the SEC, Big Ten, ACC, Big 12, and Pac-12 and what those schedules look like. Well, now we know today that the Mountain West has announced an 8-game conference schedule with the addition of 2 non-conference games. And it looks like the AAC, the American Athletic Conference, is going to do an 8-game, and then they're also going to allow up to 4 non-conference games. Same as Conference USA and the Sun Belt. So the lower level conferences keeping that flexibility. I should say the group of 5 conferences, not the lower level conferences, keeping the flexibility for their schedules. But again, the SEC, a 10-game conference-only schedule that begins on September 26th. The Big Ten, a 10-game schedule that begins on September 3rd. I saw an amazing stat on the bottom line of ESPN yesterday that this will be the first time since pre-World War II that Ohio State and Michigan play as early as they do in the season this year, because that rivalry game's slid up as a result of the new Big Ten schedule. That's really pretty amazing. Almost 100 years since they've played that game that early and not in the month of November. Wild. The ACC is going to play a 10-game conference schedule with 1 non-conference game. That 10-game conference slate does include Notre Dame. So, again, they, number 10 in the coaches poll released today, right behind the Ducks at number 9, could very well win the ACC championship as an independent school, which would be crazy. They start the week of September 7th. Big 12, a 9-game conference schedule with a 1 non-conference game option. And then the Pac-12, of course, September 26th, 10 games. Conference only. The Ducks will kick things off against Colorado on September 26th with all the time still to be determined. The ACC did put out the full schedule today of timing, dates, and dates I should say, not time yet, for every game, depending on what things look like down the road. So, but again, look, we're planning like all of this is going to happen, right? But we still got to make sure that we're doing our part to socially distance, follow the health guidelines, because ultimately what the situation looks like at each school, based on what health experts are saying, that's what's going to determine the way that this college football season goes. And it's not just college football. It's volleyball. It's soccer. It's cross country here at the University of Oregon. It's important. I really echo what Kelly Graves said on the show a couple days ago, that it's up to all of us. It's not just the players, coaches, the staff. It's up to everybody in the community to make sure that we're going to be able to play. Pro Ducks, some updates on Tyler Anderson. He's pitching for the Giants this afternoon. We'll tell you about that. That's still to come, but that's your Oregon Imaging Center's Inside Look. Oregon Imaging Center is a proud sponsor of the University of Oregon Ducks. Established in 1988, Oregon Imaging Centers would like to remind you that you have a voice in choosing your medical imaging provider. Choose quality, choose service, choose Oregon Imaging Centers. The choice is yours. Coming up on Duck Insider, tomorrow we're going to talk with Oregon Athletic Director Rob Mullins. Any questions that you guys have for him, throw them in the comment section. I'll take a look during this timeout. We'll talk a little bit about that. And we still have, one of the greatest things to ever come to the internet. And it was what Scott Phillips did during quarantine. We're going to tell you about that. More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
More Duck Insider coming up on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Back on Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here with you inside the Country Financial Studio. Jackson's Food Store is a proud sponsor of the University of Oregon Ducks. Head to Jackson's to get all your game day necessities before the big game. Go Ducks. Tomorrow, Rob Mullins, Oregon Athletic Director, will join us to start the show. We'll talk a lot about how this has changed college sports. We're also going to talk about keeping athletes safe, what the department has done to ensure that. what the football season's going to look like. And maybe this is probably the most important thing that we're going to talk about is what fans should know. And look, there's so many unknowns still. We all know that, right? I mean, I've been saying it all week. I wish that I had all the answers to these questions. I don't. If I did, then I'd sleep a lot better at night. I think many of you would as well. The anxiety of the unknown is something that I don't do well with. I'm a planner. Normally, for example, the show, Duck Insider, we have it at least loosely produced about a month out. I mean, we kind of know who's going to be on each show about a month out. Well, Scott and I threw that out the window last week, and we said, well, everything's changing so fast, kind of hard to schedule stuff more than just a couple days out. And that's just an example in our profession, right, of how this has changed things, and just it makes you anxious. There's no doubt about that. But I think what fans should know about the decision-making process, that's going to be important. We're going to talk to Rob about that tomorrow. And also, we haven't talked to him since the department received a Diversity and Inclusion Award. And with everything going on, just with social unrest around the country, we're going to talk about all that. It's going to be a lengthy interview on Duck Insider tomorrow. I anticipate that we'll spend about half the show talking to Rob tomorrow. So I encourage you to come back and check in with us as well. Also, we're going to have a little bit of fun over the next couple weeks. Jerry Allen, over the last, couple months, I guess, with Scott, has done some interviews with what we're calling great moments with great Ducks. Talked to Jake Hansen, also talked to Kellen Clemens, and these are great interviews going in depth with these guys. We're going to play them in a series over the next couple weeks, really, on Duck Insider. Maybe we'll kick that off tomorrow as well. We'll see what happens and what the rest of the day brings. See, producing on the fly. Ugh.
Improvising.
Yeah, something like that. Something like that. This is again uneasy, unrest. There's no doubt.
World,
so we were talking though on Monday, and I took some suggestions from folks both on air and off air about projects during quarantine. And I was kind of curious if anybody did like any duck centric projects too. Like did anybody do any big time man cave remodels or anything? I haven't heard of too many that are super duck related, but we did have one. So you got to give us some backstory here, Scott. So everybody knows Scott is a very, very talented editor, director, producer, all of those, fancy words that you say you're good with a camera, videographer.
Yeah.
But I've never known you as a musician.
Oh, yeah. That's actually it was the first thing that I got into. So
really?
I was in a touring band for a while. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So touring
Rock
band,
star.
weatherman.
Yeah, sports guy.
And now this.
Yeah. So, we went into quarantine. You're like, what are we going to do with the kids? And I'm like, well, I'm going to record this song, and then I'm going to try and get my kids to be in it in a music video. And I only got one take with each kid because that's all they would give me. And then I just kind of chopped it together.
Okay. Well, that's how we're going to end Duck Insider today.
You want to hear it?
I want to hear it.
You want to watch it?
Yeah, I think everybody does. I mean, this is a great example of how you can spend your time productively with the kiddos.
All right. Well, here we go.
I'm too essential for you.
You're going to have to give us a breakdown as we go.
I'm too essential for you. I'm too essential for you. Too essential for you. I'm too essential for you.
The scream is where it's at. That was good. Also, your beard looks great.
Too essential.
So one take with each kid.
Toilet paper. Disinfectant wipes. Isopropyl alcohol.
Oh, that's great. I mean, look, you got to do something with the kids,
I'm too essential for you. I'm too essential for you. I'm too essential for no need to start.
And then you really got into it with the guitar. You had to.
I'm too essential for you.
I mean, you have to see it.
I'm too essential for you.
She's loving it.
I'm too essential for no need to start a war. I'm too essential for you.
So you wrote the song in like an hour.
Yeah, I recorded it.
And then this is how you spent one day with the kids at home.
Yeah, one evening.
Bravo! Bravo!
Good stuff.
Well done. I thought, again, we needed to have a little bit of fun on the show, and that was just a great way to show all the different ways that you can entertain your kids.
That's right.
Well done. Oh, I got a dog. This is Henry, for those of you who are watching online right now. Henry is now 6 months old. He's very large. And that's what he looked like when we got him when he was 7 weeks old. Awesome. So when he was 7 weeks old, he was 13 pounds. Now that he is 6 months old, he is 70 pounds.
And that's the current picture.
That's probably, 3 weeks old, that picture of him. So he's a 3/4 black lab, quarter golden retriever.
Beautiful. Love it.
He's a great dog. He's an awesome dog already. We like to say that he's getting into his adolescent years where he's rebelling.
Ooh.
Like, he knows what we are telling him, but he looks at you and then turns his head sideways and goes, but do I really have to come right now?
He's questioning authority.
Yeah.
That's good.
Something like that. I wouldn't call it good, but I'd call it normal.
It'll serve him better later in life.
Maybe. So that's how I spent my quarantine was my wife and I decided to get a dog. I grew up with a golden retriever. She grew up with a lab and then a lab retriever mix, so hence the lab retriever mix.
Yeah.
He's a great dog, though. He's a great dog. So I've officially joined the dog owners club, if you will.
It's a good club.
Yeah. We also remodeled our entire kitchen. I figured I would never have, well, I hope, I will never have that much time, without traveling for work. So we figured might as well renovate now. So we did. Like I said, the house could still come crumbling down around us. I don't know. It's a very strong possibility. Hey, Wyndham Clark tees off at 2:04 today in the PGA Championship. If you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour, 8:39 a.m. tee time tomorrow if you want to catch the product in action. Tyler Anderson pitching for the Giants this afternoon. We'll have to see how he does against his former team, actually, I believe, against the Rockies. He's Scott Phillips. I'm Joey Mack. Thanks to Rob Moseley for joining us. See you tomorrow with Rob Mullins.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org